More than 40,000 people have received wage subsidy payouts from more than one employer, with several hundred people getting the payout from 4 employers or more. The Ministry for Social Development says many of those payments include part-time work, and unions say it's evidence of New Zealand's increasing reliance on the gig economy. But critics want the payments to be looked at very closely, with Super Rugby players among those getting double payouts. Nita Blake-Persen reports.
The government's wage subsidy scheme has helped cover nearly 1.7 million jobs at a cost of nearly $12 billion. But that payout doesn't cover 1.7 million people, with tens of thousands of people working in multiple jobs receiving multiple payouts. Information released to Checkpoint shows 42,200 people have been paid out by 2 employers. 2,200 of those had 3 employers, and 364 employees were linked to 4 employers or more. Gerard here is the National Secretary for the Unite Union and says it shows how many New Zealanders need more than one gig to get by.
You know, I was in an Uber shortly after the lockdown, and the Uber driver had a job and received a subsidy because he wasn't working. Also his Uber business, because they were mere contractors, he received a subsidy. So, you know, there'll be lots and lots of people like that who've got part-time businesses who would have been hit hard, who've also got jobs. We've got lots of members who have multiple jobs. That's not unusual at all. Simply to make ends meet, because people just can't, you know, a lot of people want to work 40 hours or even more sometimes, but the jobs that they can get simply don't allow that to happen.
And he says underemployment, where workers struggle to get enough hours, is a real problem for many employees.
In this case, it's probably worked to their advantage. It'd be one of the few times. But if you're working part-time and you try to get income support from Windsor, you know, very much works against you. You know, the rates for doing a little bit of work, more than a few hours work, the clawback rates are around 70, 90%, you know, and after a while you actually know better off. We discourage people from taking up work that's available.
The wage subsidy was paid directly to eligible employers at a flat rate of $585.80 for people working 20 hours or more per week, and $350 for anyone working less than 20 hours per week. The New Zealand Rugby Union has confirmed its players, who are employees of both New Zealand Rugby and the provincial unions, receive the full-time rate from both organisations. Scott Mason is a tax accountant at Dunedin firm Findex. He says even receiving multiple payouts, it's unlikely people profited from the scheme.
It's possible that at an individual level there might be people who got $50 more a week than they would have otherwise, simply because there were 2 lots of wage subsidy being paid to them by 2 employers. But that's absolutely in the margins. At an employer level, absolutely not. And for the vast majority of the 42,000 odd people that received it from 2 employers, the 585 times 2 is probably less than they would have received anyway.
The tax researcher, Dr. Michael Goumet, who's been a vocal critic of the scheme, says some payouts may require a closer look.
It does seem to be, looking at the numbers, that there's a lot of people out there that have had subsidies claimed on their behalf. So the question really is, you know, this is a taxpayer cost. It's going to be borne by a lot of people for a long time to repay these taxpayer funds over time back to the government, so to speak. But I think it does raise the question, is this all legitimate above board? And as I say, doing an interim spot audit on a few to see whether they are legit, and then taking it wider if you do find discrepancies.
The Ministry for Social Development says it's aware of the potential risk associated with employees being claimed by multiple workplaces, and it's part of its audit program. So far, there have been nearly 6,000 refunds made to the wage subsidy program, worth $176 million. The largest payout to date is Silver Fern Farms, who paid back the $42 million they initially claimed. For Checkpoint, Nita Blake-Persen.